winter tires. I don't know winter tires on this car.
Please avoid any non-essential travel today.
Don't go out on the roads unless you absolutely have to.
This here is the 2020 Volkswagen Jetta Execline. Now, some car reviewers out there have called this car boring, not only in looks, but also in performance, and I'm here to tell you, it's not. Now, chances are, if you're watching this review video, that's because you're potentially in the market for a pre-owned Volkswagen Jetta, such as this one, and you probably have similar needs and wants to myself. So for example, I want good fuel economy. No, wait, let me change that. I need good fuel economy, especially with the way prices of gas are nowadays. I want a luxurious cabin, you know? I'd like some creature comforts such as like Bluetooth audio, you know, leather heated seats, big sunroof, right? This car has those features. If you're like me, you're an executive, right? So up and coming YouTube channel, you know, that track channel, you know, employees, one, me, you know, executive, Execline, perfect. Okay, so new, these cars up here in Canada were probably around $40,000, probably around 30K US, okay? So in the pre-owned market, it's currently 2024, this is 2020 Execline. They're probably selling around $25,000 to $30,000 Canadian, probably around 20 grand US. Mine, however, was rebuilt title. I was hunting a deal, so I went and I found someone very similar to like a Matt Armstrong that obviously bought this car that was totaled, rebuilt it, and made it roadworthy again. In the case of this one, more than likely, I don't know, it was probably rolled on its roof, probably fell down the side of a mountain, and then somebody put it back together, and then I got significant savings on a car like this. So a car like this, for me, was actually a little bit under $20,000 Canadian, which was about a 33% savings over from what they're selling for right now. And now, for my purpose, I'm just looking to put mileage on a car. I'm looking for a commuter, so the rebuilt title stuff doesn't really scare me. However, you at home, you might be looking for a clean title one. So expect to be paying $25,000 to $30,000 Canadian and somewhere around that 20 grand US price point if you were in the market for a pre-owned one like this. Now, of course, being an Execline, the car is finished with 17-inch wheels with a 205 55/17 tire. It does have these beautiful LED headlamps. You can't see them right now, but they definitely display really nicely at nighttime. Fog lights, obviously the nice chrome appearing grille up front. And as I said, a spacious cabin, which is really important to me. As well as a spacious cabin, you also have a spacious trunk to haul whatever it is that you need to haul. Like, I'm not gonna do it, but I feel like I can probably get myself in there, and obviously I'm a pretty big dude. So lots of room, but most importantly, a car like this has great fuel economy. Now, under the hood of this Jetta, you're gonna find a 1.4 liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It makes about 150 horsepower and probably somewhere around the same amount of foot-pounds of torque. What's really, really good about a car like this is I love seeing a smaller engine like this, right? It's a 1.4 liter. So this car is going to achieve north of like 40 miles per gallon on the highway, and just consistent. Like, we've been driving through the mountains with this car and still seeing 40 miles per gallon, which to me is absolutely amazing. Paired up to that 4-cylinder engine, you're gonna find an 8-speed Aisin automatic transmission. Now, one of the things that I love about having an 8-speed is obviously it's got a lot of gears, but this transmission's been known for reliability, so hopefully I'm not gonna run into any problems anytime soon. And the other nice part too is it really helps with that fuel economy, because when you're up on the highway having 8 gears, the gear ratios can bring the RPM down a little bit, right? So when you're on the highway doing 110, 120 kilometer an hour, so about 70, 75 mile an hour in the US, you're still getting 40 miles per gallon, right? The car's only revving at about 2,000 RPM, which, as I said, helps get you those insane fuel mileage figures. Now, some of the reviewers online had mentioned that this car was boring, and that was due to the fact of it having this 1.4 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, right? It doesn't have a lot of power. But the reality is we have to remember as reviewers that every car serves a purpose in its own category, right? I'm not buying or looking at purchasing a 2020 Jetta and hoping that it's gonna compete with a Corvette Z06, right? Or I'm not gonna hope it's gonna have the acceleration of a Lamborghini, right? More than likely, if you're in the market for a Jetta, you understand that, okay, yes, it's not going to be the speediest car. I mean, you're not trying to win drag racing, you know? And if anybody knows anything about that, it would be me, that track channel, because that's all I do is really focus on racing and stuff like that. It's kind of weird to see a car like this even pop up on my channel, but the reason why is because I've actually bought this car and I am going to be using this as a commuter car in hopes to save me money in the long term because I travel so much. Now, the interior in this car is, in my opinion, a nice place to log some miles. Once again, I'm buying this car as a commuter car, so I want a comfortable car. So you guys saw me standing beside the car, and I am 6'5" in height, and I actually consider this car to have lots of leg room. So especially with the way the dash is shaped, you can see here my knee is nowhere near the dash in this car, which makes it quite comfortable to sit in. It's finished with leather interior. Up front, we have heated and ventilated seats, as well as on the driver's side, whenever you engage the heated seat button, the heated steering wheel comes on too. So once again, not many cars in this segment of a compact car would have the features that Volkswagen does. And that's one reason why, once again, I wanted the Volkswagen car, is just because it has a premium fit and finish. When you look in here, the dash is finished in leather, or a substance that appears to be leather. You know, I'm very bad at stuff like this. I'm the type of guy that couldn't tell you the difference between laminate or hardwood, right? So who knows, maybe this dash is plastic or rubber, but it sure identifies as leather to me. There's stitching up here. It looks, and once again, appears to have kind of like a nice metal brushed finish, like a kind of aluminum finish over here. Once again, it's probably plastic for all I know, so don't kill me online with all the comments. But yeah, you have dual climate control. We have a big, massive sunroof above us, tilt the telescopic wheel. This is a touchscreen entertainment unit up front, which a lot of people probably don't like, but to be honest, I actually find it enjoyable to have all the controls on the steering wheel. One of the other perks that I love about this Execline Jetta is the fact that it has a big kind of LED screen up front here, right? So you can actually toggle between looking at the gauges or looking at navigation or just seeing all the different features that are available. As well, in this price point, as I said, it's loaded with tech. We have blind spot monitoring. Mine doesn't work, of course, because whoever rebuilt it probably forgot to buy a sensor, so I'll probably have to deal with that. But in your clean title car, it's going to have blind spot monitoring, as well as lane keep assist. This car does have that. It does have adaptive cruise control. It's really got a lot of features in it. An Execline car as well is going to get you the upgraded audio. It has Beats audio in it, which in my opinion, if not the best stereo in the world. I have a Silverado High Country at home. It's got a Bose audio system, and to me, that system really bumps. Where this one, I find, as you're turning it up louder, you can kind of hear the bass kind of sort of sound like it's distorting. I'm not an audiophile by any means, but I'm not blown away with the stereo in here. Now, saying that, it's probably better than its competitors, right? It's probably better than the Kias and Hyundais and the Hondas and stuff like that, the Toyotas, right? But once again, I don't really have a solid proof for you on that. But the stereo is definitely livable. I'm not looking at changing it. I'm not looking to do anything to the stereo in here. It's totally, perfectly acceptable. It's just not as good as obviously more high-end systems that are out there. Another great feature in this car when you are driving is it does have automatic high beams. And there's lots of weird little sensors in this car. For example, if you're driving on the highway and you have to drive your window down a little bit, it'll actually pop up a message saying eco tip for better fuel economy, put your window up kind of thing, right? I usually ignore it because I like to drive with my window down, but it's just interesting that it will notify you of things like that, right? Okay, now this probably isn't gonna work out too well, but I've left my seat where it is just to see if I could even get back here. It's not looking too promising, but let's try. Okay, so once again, my seat's crammed all the way back. And yeah, there's no room back here for a big guy like myself at 6'5". But the good news is I have two small kids that are 2 and 5, and they'll fit back here. So that's a win in my books. Something else that's quite nice with this car at this entry point is here's the key to the car. It's a little on the basic side, but it is nice that you do have factory command start, especially if you live in a northern climate such as myself. So now I've picked this car up in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm headed back to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and we're just outside of Golden, BC, headed east. So I've had a few hundred kilometers already driving this car, and my first impressions is that this is a great place to log some miles. And that's exactly, once again, what I bought this car for, was to have a commuter that is going to drive me all over North America and hopefully do it and save me a lot of money in the process with how fuel efficient this car is. But yeah, some people said that this car was boring to drive, and once again though, guys, I feel like cars are built for certain applications. I didn't buy this car to win drag races. As I mentioned, I bought this car to be good on fuel. I bought this car to be comfortable to drive long periods of time. I wanted all those creature comforts, right? So this car definitely checks all of those boxes for me and more. The interior fit and finish is very well done, and that's something that I personally think the Germans do such a great job with, is you just can't compete with the way that the car interiors are put together in these things. So the door panels, the trim, everything in this car is just, in my opinion, a premium experience. Now, one thing I should mention to you that isn't so premium is my sunglass holder is currently held together with a piece of tape holding it up there. But once again, that's probably due to whoever rebuilt this car probably messed something up along the way, and when it rolled down the cliff, they just couldn't get the roof line back up or something. By the way, I don't actually know if this car rolled down a cliff. That's just me just trying to be funny. So right now I'm a few hundred kilometers in. I'm showing on the display here 6 liters per 100K, and in my opinion, that's pretty good. As I said, we're driving through the mountains, so there's a lot of up and downs for us, a lot of on and off that gas pedal and stuff. So once again, 40 miles per gallon going through the mountains is, in my opinion, phenomenal. I would imagine when I'm traveling more like through the Midwest and stuff where it's just flat ground and in the summertime, I would assume this car is probably going to get somewhere north of 45 miles per gallon. Now, I feel like the steering wheel has good inputs. The steering wheel feels nice in the hands. I love the heated steering wheel. Once again, in our northern climate, that's definitely a big added perk. Now, I had touched up on that 8-speed transmission, and once again, doing 120, 125 kilometer an hour, somewhere in that territory, that the car is only driving around 2,000 RPM. So take a look. So there we are, we're doing like 117, 120 kilometer an hour, and as I said, we're at that 2,000 RPM point, which is, once again, helping us achieve just amazing fuel efficiency here. So now, guys, I'm on a 2,000 plus kilometer trip, as I said, from Vancouver, BC to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and I want you guys to know that I plan to fill you in on what it costs to obviously do this commute through the mountain range and back home in the middle of terrible weather, etc., etc. I want to get you guys all that information and let you know that this is kind of a long-term test. As I said, I'm driving halfway across the country in this car, and we'll hopefully be able to provide you honest feedback as to why I purchased this car myself and why maybe if you're in the market looking for one, why you should too. I just got to say, guys, if you ever have the chance to drive the Rocky Mountains, in my opinion, it's got to be one of the best drives out there. So from Vancouver to Calgary, it's about a 12-hour drive, and as I said, like, just look at this scenery. This is absolutely amazing. Definitely a bucket list drive, guys, and if you are going to do it, make sure you have winter tires. Well, guys, I'm just rolling back into Winnipeg right now, and I still got about 3/4 of a tank in here. So in total, I have filled the car 4 times, but really I've only used about 1/4 of a tank on this 4th tank here. So like 3¼ tanks come from Vancouver to Winnipeg, which is about 2,300 kilometers, about 1,500 miles for the US viewers. And yeah, on total, if I had to ballpark it, I'm gonna say the tank's a 50-liter tank. You know, we've probably done 160 liters of fuel, which is roughly around 40 gallons, maybe a little bit less, to go about 1,500 miles. So yeah, overall, really happy with the car. It's driven amazing. It's been comfortable. It's been quiet. It's got great features in it. And I honestly think if you're in the market for a Jetta Execline, go give one a try. I have a feeling you'll probably love it. And yeah, make sure to hit that like button. Please subscribe and comment if you want to see a review later down the road as well. I would be really curious to know if any of you guys enjoyed this and you want to see an update whenever I have another, say, 50,000 kilometers on the car or something like that. So let me know in the comments. Thanks guys for checking it out. Take care.